A type 8 on the Enneagram, like all types, all numbers, all people, do not manage usually to stay in a state of connectedness with everything, non-duality. So there's a disintegration where they start to believe something else rather than that everything is okay and that they're connected to everything and it's all an illusion anyway. So there's a split from non-duality into duality. Before the split, a type 8 is in touch with true power, not a power that's theirs and not a power that's outside of them that they're taking. There's just this inextinguishable fountain of joy and power, which is life, and that is flowing. But the split happened because an 8 felt cut off from that, and they felt cut off from it, so they felt alone, and they felt wronged somehow, and they felt scared. So there's this scared, small, angry part of an 8, which is the core kernel of an 8. And all creatures that are frightened have a fight or flight response, and an 8's response is definitely to fight. They start to build up this armour. So I'm going to imagine an 8 child, a young child, before they can speak. But they see something they want, because they're building up this armour, and they're going to fight, and if they want something, then they're going to take it. And then they get told off, because they snatched or something, and their face. They're not going to give in, they're not going to cry, they're going to show their contempt at the person who is daring to try and belittle them, because they're not small. They're big, they're important. And even though that might not really be what's going on inside, a type 8 starts to believe this so much that for anyone on the outside it becomes almost impossible to see any chink in their armour. They seem not vulnerable at all, when really they are. So an 8 has this fixed, steady expression, and their gaze is confrontational, because they do not have any feeling that they need to be shy or embarrassed, because they are going to look you directly in the eyes and meet you on a level, and they're going to show you that they're not afraid. And this can take on a nicer form, because 8s are very straightforward. They're very good friends in that respect. They won't be wishy-washy and pander about an issue. They will just tell you like it is. There's a Sex and the City episode where Miranda talks to some... what happens is there's some women talking on a step about the fact that one of the women, her boyfriend or potential boyfriend, is not calling her on the phone, and Miranda overhears, and she goes up to them and she says, "Oh, hello, and I couldn't help overhearing what you were saying, and I hope this isn't out of line, but I just wanted to give you a piece of advice that might really help you in the long run. He's just not that into you. So move on. Okay, bye." Leaving these women furious. How rude. But Miranda thought she was doing the right thing. And in a way she was. She saw the problem, and she told them. And 8s can be very wonderful also in how genuine they are. They're honest. I've got an 8 in my family, and she's lovely, and when she sees me, because we only see each other once or twice a year, she gives me a big kiss right in the middle of the lips. Not like most people I know, and when we kiss, we kiss on the sides of the head. It's right direct, very passionate and friendly and loving, and it's nice. It's really heartfelt. And 8s also have another lovely quality where, like the young 8 who grabs something because it wants it, an 8 knows their worth, and they will treat themselves. If they want some fancy clothes with the designer label, they will buy themselves that. They won't feel guilty about it. If they want to eat out in a nice restaurant or go on holiday to an amazing resort, they'll do those things. They have a sense of their deep worth, and that might be masking a lack of worth, but they don't remember that. And 8s, in terms of confrontation, I was doing some work with a young person who was an 8, and we were litter picking, and I was wearing a high-vis jacket because it was a health and safety requirement, and when he walked in to do this work, he was really, no way. If you think I'm putting that on, you're having a laugh. Whatever anyone says, I'm not putting that on. No. And some other workers came out to talk to him, and then in the end we compromised, and I kind of had it hanging out of my bag, and then we were walking along, and throughout the whole day's work with this young person, there was confrontation after confrontation, and he in fact used that very word towards the end of the session, and he said, "You might as well not try it, because I've been practicing confrontations with my mum, with everyone at school, and I'm expelled now, and I am so good at having confrontations that you might as well just give up, mate." And he was right. I've always been the sort of person who's not going to have confrontations, but he is a master at it. So the best thing to do is just allow him the glory of being the best confronter and just not bother. The same boy on the same trip showed another aspect of an 8, which is when they sense something dangerous or scary, then it reminds them of this vulnerability inside them, and they don't like that, so they actually counterphobically move towards that danger, which can be a great thing. Try new things. So this boy, he saw some little octopus at a seafood stall, and he saw the octopus, and they looked rather weird things to eat, and there were some other young people there as well, and they were, "Ooh, it looks disgusting," and he just bought them, and it is horrible. It's hating it, and you could see that he really wasn't enjoying it, but he was stuffing more and more in. He'd never tried them before, but he was going to face that challenge. Not too bad, not too bad. You pussies, you wouldn't eat them. Showing he was the alpha male. This same thing can be a great thing in business. They can take risks, they can be leaders, they protect people in situations that other people might be afraid to. They might go on holiday to a place where many people wouldn't go on holiday because they'd be too scared. They're not fearful in that regard. The person in my family who's an 8, and she's not as young as she was, and she's not that nimble, but on holiday we were on a walk, and there was this cave, and you could go down into the cave. It was a coral cave, so it's quite spiky and sharp, and it was pitch black and quite tight, and you go down and then you go back up into the light, but it takes a little while, and she was right in there. She went straight in, came up, no problems, no fuss, whereas a lot of us were unsure to do it, and I've got a feeling she probably had that fear, but she just went against it because she didn't want to be fearful. 8s can be quiet in terms of the fact that they won't talk to many people in social situations. They'll just watch and look around. They can be flamboyant, loud, storytellers, the party animals. But either way, they'll have a strong voice. A voice that embodies their self-confidence. Not a wishy-washy one, and in fact if other people have a wishy-washy weak voice, they will pick up on that quite quickly, and they're not normally can't be bothered really with people like that. Someone who's going to be all over the place. Sometimes, if they like them, they might be very protective over people like that. But generally, you can hear in their voice that they are straightforward, down the line. Whether 8s are confrontational and pick fights and arguments with strangers or not, an 8 will always have some sort of sparring in their life. It could just be one person at home, a family member or a loved one, or it could be lots of people. The random people they meet on the street, people they shout out their car windows, someone they meet in a supermarket, the waiter at the restaurant, someone they meet at a party, and it builds them up. It gives them the chance to show their alpha male or alpha female-ness. So 8s will often be arguers. In business, 8s can be huge successes because whether they're academically gifted or not, they know what they want and they're going to go for it. Things like money and success and fame, they're not necessarily going to make you happy. In fact, they're, you could call them holy grails that you think you might get and that will make you happy, but really when you get it, it doesn't, so it's a false grail. But an 8, they want it, they'll go for it. They might step on lots of people on the way there, and they might not be happy once they get it, but they'll hold on to it. And they might be nasty to just about everyone on the way, and they'll take risks and they'll do all these things. And I'm sounding very negative, and this can be a really good thing. 8s are go-getters, which is admirable. Donald Trump, I think, is an 8. Alan Sugar, who's the equivalent in the UK, is definitely an 8. There's an episode of The Apprentice. I was looking at some at YouTube to try and remember, because I don't like the programme because there's so many negative people on it. But there's a woman and she talks to him and she's saying, yeah, but Alan, Sir Alan, I was just trying to be bold. And he looks at her and he says, yeah, you were bold, all right. You've been bold. But you know what? You also make me sick. I'm sick to the back teeth of looking at you. Hang on. Just get out. Get out of here now. Get back to the house. That wasn't a very good impression, actually. I've forgotten exactly what he said. But the main thing is that is that he had this real vindictive, nasty, bullying expression. And when we start to approach the more rock-bottom aspects of an 8, we will see the playground bully. We will see the boss bully. We will see people who are nasty for the sake of being nasty, who will fight, who will commit criminal acts because they are going to get what they want. And what they want is often to make other people feel worse, because that in a vindictive, sadistic way often makes them feel better. So a good summary of a 8 at rock bottom is a sadist. However, thankfully not all 8s are like that. However, many people who are not 8s, including me, historically have found 8s quite intimidating and sometimes find them difficult to be friends with. However, at the root of all 8s is a little pussycat, and all this is bravado. So, when an 8 is at their worst, or on any level of this disintegration, how did they get back to the state that we had at the start of them feeling joyous and connected and secure in the knowledge that everything is okay? Well, for an 8, it's really about learning not to push so hard. Very action-oriented, in a different way from a 3. A 3 is action-orientated because they think, if I do this, then I'm moving towards success. An 8 is more that they see the world as quite weak and they need to impress themselves upon it. They need to dominate it. So an action is a dominating thing. Really, reality is that everything is interconnected, and if you are impressing yourself forcefully on something, you are only hurting the world and hurting yourself, because actually it's a an act of violence. An 8 can learn to remind themselves verbally or mentally, this is as it is. This is actually as it should be. Everything is in its right place. There's nothing I need to do. Nothing I need to do. Leave them as they are. I don't need to impress them. I don't need to dominate them. I don't need to assert myself in this situation. And it'll be hard because after a whole lifetime of practice, it keeps happening, and an 8 must not blame themselves, because if they blame themselves and get angry at themselves, then they're doing the same thing. They're not allowing reality and things to be as they should be, and they're so if that starts to happen, that self-blame, just relax with that as well. If they blame others, relax. That's the process, just relaxing. And it's hard because an 8 who's been very action-based will feel they're being weak. They'll feel they've lost some sort of momentum. They haven't. And 8s, maybe more than all the other types, will, when they relax, they will start to realise, wow, they've still got this incredible power. Power, not force. And they still have a huge influence. And because it's now well-being and compassion and a natural, wakeful power that's flowing through them, they make a much more conscious and powerful and, what's the word I'm reaching for, beautiful and delightful impression on the world. But it's a natural one, not a forceful one. And they leave a legacy, and they set an example for all the others around them. So, I've summed it up very quickly, and 8s will not necessarily be zooming up the levels of consciousness, or, wow, how could I put it, health, spiritual health, that quickly. But it's a process, and as long as they can remember the main thing and keep reminding themselves of it, that everything is in its right place and I don't need to force myself on it, then they'll get there. Lovely. Okay, thanks for watching. Got type 2 left to do, and then that's it. Woohoo! I've done all the videos on the Enneagram, and some people have watched them and said that they find them useful, and that's really lovely to hear. Okay, goodbye.